I didn't think that we would be doing this for long. I figured I'd be going back to work and Kale would kind of be doing this on the side of a full-time job or whatever. My goal was not to do this long term. My goal was to do this, pay the bills for a few months, and then go back to work. Well, it didn't play out like that. We're still doing it today. What's going on, guys? My name is Jacob with Veteran Pro Wash. Today I just wanted to kind of make a video on starting up a business. Tell y'all some of our past experiences and whenever we first got started and kind of what we've built to now. I worked in the industrial field for 5 years, almost 5 years. And whenever COVID hit, there were a bunch of layoffs going on and I ended up being one of them. So I got laid off in February of 2020. And then me and Kale were sitting in my house. We've known each other for probably 18 years. We went to primary school together all the way up and graduated together. So we were sitting on the couch and Kale was like, I know what we're going to do. We're going to start a pressure washing and a soft wash business. And at the time, all I processed was pressure washing because I had no idea what soft washing was. He knew a little bit from some YouTube videos he had been watching. But I had no idea what soft washing was, so all I heard was pressure washing. And I was like, nah, I don't think I want to do that. If I'm in high school and that's something I want to do on the side during the summer or after school or something like that, that's great. But I have bills to pay. I've graduated high school and it's not going to work. And he said, no, he said, we're going to do soft washing and pressure washing. So I said, what is soft washing? He said, cleaning like roofs and, it's like putting pressure of somebody's hose pipe on their house. It's not direct pressure. So I was like, all right. So we started doing our research and I was pretty much on the if it'll pay the bills for now until I can get to work, whatever, so be it, let's do it. So we get started and we got a trailer from my father-in-law. He let us borrow it and we went and bought two 250 gallon crate tanks that you see in the plant sometimes for $50 a piece. We bought a 4-way splitter. We bought a Tractor Supply hose reel with 100 foot of Flexzilla or 200 foot of Flexzilla. And the goal was to batch mix. We bought a 12 volt pump. We plumbed everything in. We spent about $2,500 to $3,000 starting up. We bought at first a DeWalt pressure washer from Home Depot that didn't last very long because it would overheat and it would die on us. And to clean somebody's driveway, it would probably be about a 2-day job with that pressure washer and also the 18-inch DeWalt surface cleaner. So that pressure washer ended up lasting us about 3 months. Then we went to Lowe's. We upgraded to the Simpson 3.5 gallon 4,000 PSI washer for $1,000 after we made $1,000 with the DeWalt washer. Didn't have much money to spend because I needed to save all my money for bills. Whenever you're starting up something like this, make sure that it's something that you want to do long term. If you want to do it as a side hustle, that's great. You can make some damn good side money doing this, but you can make great money doing this full time. In the past 3 years that we've been in business, we've moved into some industrial work, picked up some industrial contracts. We got commercial contracts with gas stations and fast food chains and different things like that. And we have reoccurring residential customers that call us every single year or every 6 months to come clean their house or driveway, whatever it may be that they need done. We still push for work. We haven't slacked up at all because we like to stay busy and we're still trying to hold our name to a standard. So there's no days where we're just sitting on the couch watching TV when there's something that can be done to make money or to fix problems that we're having at that time. Whenever you're first getting into something like this, don't spend a whole bunch of money starting up if you can help it. We started on the best budget we knew how. Like I said, we started with about $2,500 or $3,000, something like that. Bought the DeWalt washer. Let that make us about $1,000 to go upgrade to the Simpson washer. And then we went from there, and that Simpson washer, that lasted about our first year and a half in business. Our biggest job that we tackled with that washer was a little over a 60,000 square foot parking lot at one of our current gas station contracts that we have that we do every 6 months. The best way that we thought to do it at the time, that was the only washer we had. So, and we were still running our budget build on the trailer. So the best way we thought to do it was me and one of our helpers that we brought in do the store at night, and then Kale and another buddy that we brought in do our residential jobs that we had during the day. So that washer pretty much ran 24/7 nonstop for about a week and a half, and we never had the first issue with it. So if you're just starting out and you're looking for a pressure washer and you don't know which route to go, we highly recommend that washer. That washer never did us wrong. We changed the oil in it, I think, twice in a year and a half because we didn't know any better at the time. But yeah, absolutely recommend that washer. And if you're just starting out, or if you just need a pressure washer for around the house, even if you're not starting a pressure washing business and you're looking for a good pressure washer, highly recommend going to Lowe's and trying that washer out. Next thing I want to touch on is, don't get into this if you're not willing to put everything that you have to offer into it. In this industry, you're going to get out what you put into it. So every single day we're looking for work, we're pushing for work, we're upgrading equipment, we're maintaining equipment, we're doing everything that we need to do to stay busy and to keep money coming in. Because if you're sitting on the couch or you're at home and there's stuff that could be done, then your business is going to slow down over time. The more you do that, the more your business will slow down. So if you stay busy and you push and you put everything that you have into it, you will get the same thing in return in the end. Most businesses, from what we understand, from what we've heard over the past 3 years, is your first 5 years in business is your hardest years in business. If you can make it through those first 5 years and stick with it and put everything you have into it, then your first 5 years are going to be your hardest. And after that, the success rate of businesses drastically increases. So, you will have failure moments. You will have times where you just, you got to buy certain fittings a lot more than you want to, especially if you go on with brass fittings or something like that. Brass does not last long if there's chemical running through them. They will get ate up, they will get weak, they will get brittle, and you will be replacing them probably about once every 2 weeks, depending on how much work you're doing. PVC and stainless is two that we use. PVC will last the longest. PVC doesn't get ate up at all, hardly. It may get gummed up if you're not rinsing your pumps correctly or maintaining your equipment correctly. But PVC, you drop it, it will crack, it will break. You will run into those type of issues. But as long as you're careful with it and you take care of it, you won't have any problems with PVC. We run stainless quick connects on all of our pressure washing accessories and pressure washing hoses and things like that. Our soft wash wands, we run stainless on all of that. And the biggest issue we run into with stainless is the O-rings inside of the female quick connects. And then also on the ball valves, we run a male to male quick connect on the end of the ball valve to be able to connect it to our surface cleaners and wands and different things like that. Dropping your ball valve on the ground will chew up the end of the male quick connect over time, so you would have to replace that. We just replaced ours, and I think the one we had on there we've had for maybe 8 months to a year, something like that. So you don't have to replace those very often if it's just water going through them. The chemical side, you do have to replace those a little more often. Eventually they will get corroded, they will get eaten up, they will not snap in place. But the biggest thing is the O-rings. Keep O-rings on your truck or on your trailer or whatever you're running. Keep extra O-rings on your truck, on your system, because it's really a pain whenever you're on the job and you're doing a roof wash or a house wash or whatever it may be, and you go to open your ball valve on your wand because you got to clean some brick or something like that, and you open your ball valve up and your O-ring blows out and water starts going everywhere and you get soaking wet, and then you got to ride to your local hardware store or wherever it is you go to go buy a 25-cent to $1 O-ring because you didn't have any extra on your truck. And if it's too late, then you got to tell the customer, depending on how far you got to go to find that O-ring, you got to tell the customer, look, I can't come back till tomorrow. over $1 O-ring. Doesn't look very good, which we've done it in the past. We didn't say that we had to leave because of $1 O-ring, but we have done that in the past. We've had to come back to a job because we didn't have any extra O-rings on the truck or the trailer. So now we got probably 6 different packs of O-rings that we keep of all different sizes that we need. We never run into that issue. If O-ring blows out, we take a screwdriver, dig the old one out if it's still in there, and put the new one in, and then we keep rolling. It's no big deal. So even extra quick connects. Keep extra quick connects on your truck as well. Like I said, you never know whenever you're going to run into a corrosive problem with a quick connect on the chemical side, and you just won't be able to get it to snap in no matter what you do. So you got to end up changing it out. Keep extra quick connects just in case. 3 or 4 of them is fine. Whenever we first started, we started with 2 batch mixing tanks. We had a house wash mix in one and a roof wash mix in the other. We ran like that for about 1.5 years before we ended up purchasing a budget skid that I'll talk about in a later video. The trailer, we ran 2 250-gallon tanks, like I said, and then the 12-volt pump, 200 foot of Flexzilla, and then for our pressure washer, we had a hose box with a hose that was non-kinked. We paid $100 for a 100-foot hose to make sure that it never kinked, because the worst thing that can happen is you go buy this new Simpson pressure washer and you hook a hose pipe up to it and the hose pipe kinks on you, and you don't realize it until it's too late and you're 200 foot away from the washer. You're working on the back side of the house, and by the time you realize there's no longer water going to the pressure washer, you done burnt the pump up, and now you got to pay to replace that, or even the washer itself. So make sure you buy a good hose pipe if you are running that type of washer that you need to feed from a direct water source, that you aren't feeding from a water tank. Also in this industry is highly saturated in some areas, but there is enough work to go around for everybody. Don't ever think that there's too many soft wash companies around you and that you will not be able to pick up work, because that is not the case. That is not true. There is times where it gets slow, especially like during the winter months, around Christmas time. Our first year in business, we got slow for about 3 or 4 weeks in the spring, but then again, we were brand new. You know, we didn't really have our name out there yet. We were pushing for it, but we had like a 3-week period where it rained nonstop for like 3 weeks to a month, and we didn't do anything for 3 weeks to a month except work on our equipment. So you will run into those slow months or slow weeks or whatever, but don't get discouraged. There is definitely enough work to go around. This business is a once a year or once every 6 month business, as we like to call it, meaning that somebody is going to need your services either once a year or once every 6 months. We have 6-month commercial contracts. We have 1-year commercial contracts. We have 6-month reoccurring residential work. We have 1-year reoccurring residential work, and it's pretty much nonstop. We've gotten to the point now where we don't have a lot of downtime. This past year, the only days that we had off through December and January were Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Day, and then we both took a week vacation in January. So that was our time off last year. We did a lot of work. We moved into the industrial side last year, which was one of our goals whenever we first started up this business, was to get into the plants, because that's where we know, being from South Louisiana, that's where you're going to make your money. That's where all these big contractors make all of their money. We're still getting we have our foot in the door. We're trying to walk in the door now. So I guess the biggest thing is, like I said, just don't get discouraged whenever it comes to this type of business. You're going to get out what you put into this business, I promise you. It's taking a lot of work, a lot of putting yourself out there, a lot of doing things that you don't want to do, like go hand out flyers in neighborhoods. I used to have a limestone driveway at the last house I was living in. We ordered 1,000 business cards, and we would put a rock in a Ziploc bag, to where it would hold it down and wouldn't fly off with a business card. And we would just go ride through these neighborhoods and we would throw them in people's driveways. And I think out of 1,000 business cards, I'm pretty sure we only picked up like 2 or 3 jobs. But one of those jobs is still our customer today. He calls us back every single year. Sometimes every 6 months, depending on if they have parties going on or whatever it may be. So, and I think that job we usually make between $400 and $500 on. It's a pretty decent sized house. So, and we always do his house and his driveway at least once a year. So, the business cards that we were throwing out, I think only cost us like $120 or something like that for 1,000 of them, or $200. So we already made our money back. We made our money back as soon as we got that phone call. As soon as we got the phone call to go do that job, we made our money back times 2. So not a bad idea. You just got to put yourself out there and think of unique ways to be able to throw your name at somebody. You're going to have those days where you get up and you're like, man, I don't feel like doing this, especially if you start this business by yourself. Me and Kel started this business together. So we kind of feed off of each other, as y'all can see in some of our other videos. We like to cut up, we like to mess with each other, everything like that. But we also still know that we have a job to do and we need to get it done, and we're going to get it done right. We're not going to leave that job until it's done to 100% satisfaction on our side and the customer side. If it's a commercial job, we're going to do it to the best of our ability and to the point where we know it's good enough. And then whenever the customer comes out and we go do a walk around with him whenever he's available, if he says, hey, can y'all take care of this, and it's something that was in the bid, we might have just missed it, normally we'll bring the work truck with us to stuff like that, because we'll just go ahead and we'll knock it out right then and there. We know it's not going to be anything major or anything where it's going to take hours out of our day to go ahead and hit it. So we'll just have the work truck on hand, ready to go. And if it's a little spot on a gutter or something that we may have missed, we'll brush it real quick, hit it, and rinse it off, and that's it. We'll move on, grab our check, and roll out. It doesn't look very good if somebody's at work and you're doing a residential job and you're working on their roof, and they get home from work and you're not there, and there's all kind of black streaks all over their roof still. Whenever you're cleaning a roof, we used to sit there with a hose pipe. Whenever we first started, we didn't know any better, and we didn't feel comfortable leaving chemical on people's roofs. And I know that was like a big ordeal in this industry. Should I leave the chemical on the roof? Should I rinse the chemical off? On shingles, we leave the chemical up there. We've gotten to the point where I'm not sitting there rinsing your roof, because I'm pretty much double washing your roof, and you're not paying me to double wash your roof. So I'm going to spray chemical. I'm going to do plant protection. I'm going to water all your stuff. I'm going to make sure that no property is harmed in the process of cleaning. And most of the time, the chemical on the roof's already dry by the time we're leaving, and we're going to let the rain take care of it and beat all the dead algae off and salt and stuff like that. So I'm not going to sit there and rinse your roof off unless you're willing to pay double the price, because in my opinion, I'm double washing your roof. What's the difference between me spraying water on your roof after I've sprayed chemical on it than just spraying chemical on it twice? It's the same thing. You're spraying the roof twice. Just because it's not both sprayed with chemical doesn't mean you're not washing it twice. You're washing all the algae off with the chemical, and then you're washing all the chemical off with water. So rain is water. Rain will wash it off. Rain will knock all the algae off. If it's very heavy, there is instances where we will rinse some spots on a roof depending on how heavy the algae. But other than that, we don't rinse roofs at all unless they're metal or tile or something like that, because the screws in a metal roof, on a painted metal roof, we don't touch galvanized with chemical. On a painted metal roof, they will rust if the chemical sits on them for too long, if they're not already rusted. So to keep from furthering that, we do rinse metal off. That being said, don't be scared to ask questions. That's another thing about this industry is we see this industry, since we've been in, as a family. This whole industry is a family. It's competitive. It's saturated. There's a lot of people that are out there trying to push to make money. There's somebody out there that is pushing harder than you. People out there that are pushing way harder than us, or way harder than anybody else. And they're getting what they deserve in return. which is work. They're getting work, they're making money, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing for their business, to grow their business, to be able to take care of a family or pay their bills or whatever it may be. But that being said, there's not a single soft wash company that we've ran into, especially first starting out. First starting out, we had so many questions, and our biggest concern was landscape. We could not figure out the best way to go about protecting landscape. Yeah, we can sit there and put water on it all day long, but eventually we thought maybe, will it flood out the plants? Is there too much water that you can put on plants? We didn't know any better. So whenever it came to stuff like that, we would go to different soft wash companies that we would see maybe where we get our chemical, or at our local parts store where we get all of our parts from. We'd see other soft wash companies, and we would just kind of pick their brains because we had done our research in this area to know which soft wash companies had been in the area for a long time, which ones were just starting up. We wanted to see what kind of competition we were dealing with first starting up. So we would kind of pick their brain a little bit, talk to them about some different things. So don't be scared to do that, because 99% of the time in this industry, somebody is there to answer your questions. If you don't know anybody locally, there's people on YouTube or the internet that you can go to, and they will happily answer your questions. We'll happily answer your questions. I know they got Mike over there in Georgia, Cody with Southeast Soft Wash, Aaron, Justin with Forever Self-Employed, us. We're all here to answer your questions over the internet. All you have to do is type in a comment and we'll answer your question. Another thing that kind of goes along with picking people's brain and asking questions to some of the veteran companies around you is do your research before you get started. Don't show up to a job with an actual customer that you're charging $500 for a roof wash, and they have $500 worth of landscape in front of their roof with no gutters, and you're just pounding their freaking plants with chemical running off the roof, and you get a call back a day or two later saying, hey, you killed all my plants, and now you got to give that $500 back to them in landscape to fix all their plants and stuff in the front of their house. So test your equipment before you go on your first job or before you charge your first customer. We went to a family member's house that we knew their roof was dirty, and we said, hey, we're going to clean your roof. We just got done setting our system up, setting our trailer up. We're going to clean your roof. We spent, I think, $100 in chemical, and we were batch mixing. So we bought $50 in chemical, and we filled up our tank to, I think it was like 175 gallons or 200 gallons, whatever it was, whatever the ratio was that we needed, doing the math. And we cleaned their roof to test our equipment with no charge. That way, and it's a family member, so if something goes wrong or you break something or you kill something, they're going to be a lot more lenient on you than somebody that you're charging $500 to clean their roof. So we highly recommend doing that, whether it be a family member or a friend or whoever it is. Do a job for free for somebody that you know to gain the experience on your first job and to test your equipment, make sure you did everything right. And whenever you're on that job, if you run into some issues, maybe you didn't mix your chemical correctly, and it's taking a long time for it to eat the algae away on the roof that you're cleaning. Then make a list of what you need to do more research on. Go home, sit down, do your research, gain some more knowledge in that category, and then find somebody else and try it again. If you got to spend a couple $100 to do somebody's house or roof or anything like that for free to gain the experience and gain the knowledge before you go charge somebody, then do it. Because at the end of the day, you will be very glad you did, because an issue that you might run into on a free job for a family member, instead of running into it at a customer's house, you're running into it at a family member, and now you don't have to pay for it necessarily, depending on the severity of how bad you messed up. We ran into an issue on one of our buddies' house where we oxidized some vinyl on his house because we put too hot of a mix on it. And then we didn't know any better, so after we put the mix on it, we came back with a ball valve. Right after we put the ball valve on the pressure washer, we came back with a ball valve, and we got too close and we marked all of his vinyl up. So vinyl hardy plank, and even stucco can all be oxidized. So whenever you put chemical on it, if it's too hot of a mix and it's not already oxidized, even if it is already oxidized and you put too hot of a mix on it, and then if you put too much pressure directly on it, if it is oxidized, you will mark it up and it will look bad. So do your research on all of that. Make sure you know the ins and outs of a basic cleaning before you go charge your first job. Our first job, it was a roof wash, and it took us 2 days to do it. We charged the guy, I think it was a $600 roof wash. It took us 2 days to do it because our chemical ratios weren't correct. And this was even after doing a family member's house and a friend's house, one of those being a roof wash. And we still didn't have a clue what we were doing hardly. We knew our equipment worked, we knew it sprayed chemical, and that was pretty much it. So make sure you do your research. Make sure you're doing that free job for your first job to test your equipment and your knowledge. You will, in this industry, you're never going to stop learning. There's always new equipment coming out. There's always things being upgraded. There's always something to learn. We're still learning. Everybody, I'm pretty sure, is still learning that's in this industry. So if you're new and you think you know everything, I promise you, you don't, because we thought we had an idea and we had no idea what we were getting into. But we stuck to it. We did our research. We still do our research to this day on newer stuff coming out and what we're going to upgrade next. So all of that being said, get your equipment right, make it easier on yourself, do your research. And my name's Jacob with Veteran Pro Wash, and y'all stay happy, y'all stay humble, and y'all stay money hungry. And I'll see y'all later. Peace.